Go.
Okay. Hey everyone, this is our group project. I'm Kaya. My fellow group mates are Abby, Brooke, and Casey. For this project, we studied leader-member relationships within the workplace. So to get started, let's just look at some of the research that we discovered.
The most critical stage for developing leader-member relationships is during the first 8 weeks.
The amount of time that we have found is that the amount of time and the quality of conversations that subordinates have with their managers also relates to the quality of employee and how their relationship works.
There's also significant impact with the size of a working group and how it can influence perceptions in an LMX relationship.
In the LMX differentiation, consequently results in an in-group, which is trusted by the leaders, so they naturally become more proactive with an improved work ethic and better work satisfaction. The out-group has less access to information, less meaningful work responsibilities, and less interaction with the leader, which affects their performance and lack of desire to contribute to the organization.
LMX has also been shown to affect and contribute to how the attitudes of the relationships within the organization.
Also, due to negative impacts of emotional exhaustion within a business, managers need to create ways to combat emotional exhaustion to help employees to be the best they can be and maintain healthy leader-member relationships. Otherwise, employees' work ethic, productivity, and job satisfaction will decrease.
LMX relationships with high levels of liking lead to an increase in satisfaction and commitment to the job and leader.
Due to limited time and energy, it is almost inevitable that leaders develop a higher quality exchange relationships with some members of the team and not all team members.
I chose to interview a lady named Shelley Waite. She's the principal at Forsyth High School and also the principal at Forsyth Middle School. She taught business and technology for 12 years before becoming a principal. And then after she taught, she moved to the university level for 9 years and has now been the principal for 11 years and then been the principal for 9. She's the mother of 3. And the reason I chose her is because she works really hard to be the liaison between the administration and the school board and our faculty.
So I chose Naomi Spalding. She's the store manager at Famous Footwear, and she's been there for 4.5 years. She has great interpersonal skills, and the reasons why I chose her is because I worked for her a few years ago, and she was a great leader and manager because she knows how to separate personal life from work life. And regardless of the relationship status, she treats everyone equally and with respect.
I chose Susan Powell. Throughout the rest of this project, I'll be referring to her as Sue. She is the manager of Barjan's Books. She actually worked there for 10 years before becoming the manager. And I chose Sue because of the respect that she has for her employees, the awesome atmosphere that she has created due to that respect, and that she also has a unique viewpoint on how her employees should be treated.
I chose Ashley Grant, who is the manager at Leo's Casino Sports Bar and Grill and at Agency Grill. She's been managing for about 4 years. In the restaurant industry, her years of experience in the service industry is really unique to me because she's worked for the same business owner since she was 14 years old. She now manages 40 plus people, including servers, sushi, and hibachi chefs. Her leadership is really admirable because she's a dedicated, patient, and fair leader.
Studies show that the first 8 weeks are the most critical stage for developing leader-member relationships. During that time, how do you begin to form these relationships? When I asked Naomi that question, she said she usually sets her expectations right away and fosters an open door policy. So she lets them know what you see is what you get. Her door is always open if they need anything, if they need to talk about something. They can always just come to her and talk to her. And she kind of puts off a motherly figure vibe, but she also balances it with the work-life balance. So she really just sets the expectation and gives coaching feedback.
So I asked Ashley, do you notice the time you spend with an employee strengthens the type of relationship between management and workers? And Ashley said that yes, more time you spend with an employee, it definitely builds relationships because you get to know them more. And so when you get to know them more, you also get to see their work ethic, and see what they're capable of, their leadership, whether they're more of a follower or leader. So that's what Ashley said.
Next, I talked to Shelley about this introvert versus extrovert and how they move throughout the company. She always says she works with the individuals first, so she knows their personal ideas and how they can contribute to the environment. But then she utilizes smaller committees so that she gets to know these introverts' voices and not just those extroverts you tend to hear in full faculty meetings. But she does meet with faculty meetings once a week as a whole, so we get to know all of the voices together as a group. Then we talked about this idea of in groups versus out groups and how this progression within a company takes place. Shelley said that an introvert can be a strong leader, but I find that historically introverts often move up the chain faster simply because they're seen. But she says that they're not always the best leaders. Introverts and extroverts can both be strong.
I asked Sue several questions about trust and loyalty. The first one that I asked was, trust and loyalty are extremely important in the business world. How do you rank these two topics within your company? So her response was, loyalty is built off of trust. For everyone to be able to get our initial reactive nature and be able to feel free to speak, to say, this is upsetting me or this hurt my feelings, because we don't all get along, but we can certainly find ways to work together if we feel we can be straightforward. This is extremely important because those open lines of communication enable Sue to be able to build that trust and loyalty with her employees. I also asked her, how do you start building the trust, commitment, and loyalty in new leader member relationships? She said, example is the first thing. To be straightforward, to allow vulnerability on my part, and to acknowledge when I screw up. It's on my shoulders to set an example of everything else going on. So for example, I've seen lots of businesses who haven't had that example set within the workplace, and you can see how that's not only detrimental to leader member relationships, but also to the productivity of the organization as a whole. I finally asked her, how do you maintain that trust and commitment and loyalty in your leader member relationship? She said, being straightforward and also knowing that when issues arise, it's between me and the employee. I let people know when they shouldn't be doing things, but this is actually all about us learning and growing together. So again, Sue just wants to be straightforward with her employees and also understand that when issues rise, it's not a community thing. It just needs to be solved and be fixed straight away.
Within your time at a company, how have you gained members and leaders' confidence in you? And how do you gain confidence in your fellow members and leaders? So when I asked Naomi this question, she said, I don't like being wishy-washy. So she really just tries to stick to what she says. And if what she said is wrong, she will go back and apologize and try to fix it right away. She also lets people know that they can come to her about things, and she likes to be honest. And she always has a reason for why she does something.
So I asked Ashley, how have you gained confidence in your leaders and members to justify and defend their decisions? Ashley said that in her experience as a leader, she's very aware of the qualities to look for in her employees, to develop the trust in her staff, to make wise decisions by ensuring that they know the work policies and know what to expect in their job positions.
Next, I asked Shelley Waite of how she addresses this and defends her leaders and members to the community. We deal with this a lot in the Forsyth Public School system with parents regarding their students and teacher relationships. I'm actually going to play an audio clip because she answered this really well, and I think the best thing would be for you to hear from her.
I always take the side of my teachers, And when a parent first calls, and then I just say, I'll have to look into that more. I'll see, have you talked to them? I try to direct them to the teacher to talk to them. And
So see how she always defends her teachers to the parent first, and then goes talks to the teacher to see if they handled the situation well or how she could have handled it better. But then she does want the teacher to go follow up with the parent to solve the problem.
So I asked Ashley what steps you take to effectively communicate your company's long-term and short-term goals. And Ashley said that it's very important for the business to enforce the business goals. So they schedule monthly meetings. And she is very good about scheduling those meetings and making sure that everyone was on the same page. If anyone had an issue or if anyone had some constructive criticism for the organization, we were able to talk it out there at the monthly meetings. So that was really beneficial for us as a team.
When I asked Naomi, when communication gaps arise, how do you overcome these challenges to build better communication? So Naomi said if it's brought to her attention, she brings the person aside and addresses the communication error with that person. Or she asks the person who works with the other person to tell them to come see her so they can fix the problem. She doesn't like talking over the phone or sending a text out. She likes to solve these problems face to face so that they can work on building better communication together.
I asked Ashley, after you overcome these challenges, how would you maintain the good communication skills between leaders and members? And Ashley said it's very important to make sure the entire team of staff is communicating with one another with honesty and open communication to decrease the chances of conflict between one another. So it really helped to be open and honest with one another so that a conflict wouldn't blow up into something more than what it was.
Overall, we learned a lot through our interviewees and the research that we did, but these are our main takeaways. So we learned that leader-member relationships are the fundamental building block for successful businesses and take time to build. However, the first 8 weeks are crucial. We also learned that leader-member relationships involve knowing what kind of workers are existent within the business and applying them as necessary. Trust and loyalty are built in a leader-member relationship and is essential to success. There are also many different methods and ways of forming leader-member relationships. There is no one-size-fits-all, which we saw with our interviews. Confidence in leader-member relationships help to establish healthy work environments while also promoting productivity. And finally, good communication is needed when establishing a well-working leader-member relationship. Here are our page of references. And then that is the end of our presentation. Thank you so much.